welcome back. How are you? Terry here. It is Wednesday. It is 3:30 in the afternoon. So it has been, until just recently, a very gloomy winter day. It was dark enough out that lights needed to be on. Snow is about gone because it's like 44 degrees out. We're supposed to get up to 57 on Saturday. I think even hit 61 on Sunday. This is just unreal. And then we're supposed to be back in our normal temps in the 40s. So not much going on today. Yesterday was, the household stuff. And then today, Jerry's been finishing up on Christmas gifts. I finished up on all the girls' stuff last night. And right now I just started sewing on the second jelly roll rug for Christmas. And this morning I found, when I was going through the closet last night, I had made 4 blankets, and they were each going to my siblings, and pulled those out last night, and Jerry wrapped those all up so they're underneath the other tree. We have 3 full-size trees. So one tree has our stuff and our kids' stuff. The one tree has our personal Christmas, and the other tree, I use it for my mom and my siblings. So I pulled that out, and then underneath everything was a bag, and it's one of these drawstring bags that I always put my works in progress in, whether it's socks or hats, and 9 times out of 10 it's socks. And I pulled it out and I looked at it last night, and it's like, lo and behold, another sock that I started for Mr. Jerry. And one was completely done. All I needed to do was do the second one. So the problem is I don't have any empty needles because my Halloween socks are still not being done. So I just found another set of needles that were shorter. They were the same size, and I just swapped them out. So last night I worked on that, started it, comparing it to the other one because I did something a little different. I started out with 5 rows of a red, and this one is not, well, I got it here. I might as well just show it to you. I wasn't going to show it to you because I don't think people really care about it, but I'm going to show you anyways because it's not my hand dyer socks. And I can't tell you where I got the yarn from or anything like that. I just know that it is not, a hand dyer sock. So this one is called, I can't even pronounce it. What is it? Ferner something 210 woolly. That's what it is. And then the other one, and I don't know, let me see if I can figure this out. It is 75% superwash wool and 25% polyamide nylon, basically. And the color is V34. The other one, the color is 528X22. Made in Australia, both of them are. And this is what this one looks like right here. So I cannot tell you what goes to what. But I do know that one I paid $9 for and one I paid $18 for. So the one is the red. And for wool, this is pretty soft. This is pretty soft. It's not like your rustic wool that's kind of scratchy. And then the other one is this right here, and they came together. So I'm using these This was the first sock that I did last year. And I think the reason I stopped on it was because I usually do not carry the color through the whole gusset decrease, but I did. And I think once I got it done, I stopped because I didn't care for it. But it's still a wearable sock. So I think I did 5 rounds of the red, and then so there's a total 15 rounds in the cuff. And then, God, when I counted this, it should be 60, but I don't think there's 60. I think there's 55 or something like that. So I'll try to match that up. But that is the design of it. I'm pretty sure this was last year. Might have been the year before. So anyways, I started this last night. I cast on that stitches and I got the cuff part done. So all I need to do now is work on the long leg. And then just remember that all the decreases are going to be that red, and then the toe is going to be that red. So my goal is I try to put these in his stocking. We still do stockings, and so I try to put this type of stuff in his stockings because he never expects a pair of socks, and when he gets them, he's very appreciative. So it's in this bag. And then I found another sock set, and I think I'm going to do this for our son. And these are on US 2s. They are the cube ones, and I still am using the same pattern, the mediums size, but the size 2 makes it fit a wider. It's like going up to the next size, but you are still doing the same. So but I found this. Now this one right here is 75% virgin wool and 25% nylon, and it is from Lang Yarns and Gemstones Super Socks Color 4-ply, and this is what it looks like. That's what the striping, maybe sequence, is going to look like. But I think I got this for Jerry, and this isn't too bad either. It's not as soft as the other, but it's not as itchy as I would think. So, but I started that, and I did 10 rounds for the cuff, and now I'm going to go to the leg. And on his, I do 30 rounds, and then he's a size men's 13. So once I get to the foot, I have to knit it 8 inches long, and then I go into the toe, and then that works out. So this is going to be for our son, if I get it done for Christmas. If not, his birthday is in February, so I can do it for then. So for some reason, I just wanted to knit on socks, but I didn't want to knit on those Halloween ones. And I don't think I'm ever going to knit on those Halloween ones, and it's a shame. And I think I'm just going to rip them out. Just going to rip them out and save what I can. I'll tie knots into the yarn to save it, and then it will go into my stash. And then I'll have another pair of needles freed up. So, but other than that, got my 25-minute walk-in today. I didn't do it yesterday, and I was telling my friend this morning because she let me know she got hers done, and that kind of pushed me into getting mine done. Because I told her, I said, you know, Jerry hasn't walked since last Friday, and she didn't walk yesterday, and so I didn't walk. And I knew I should, but I took the day off. And then this morning when she messaged me that she got her treadmill walk in, I thought, okay, I got to do it today. So I did do that. Did you need something, babe?
What?
Did you need something?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought you were standing there waiting to ask something. So I got that in. And then had lunch and knitted a little bit. And then came in here and decided that I needed to, or I wanted to sew a little bit. Filled up my 2 quart jar of ice water today. I need to make some Crystal Light pink lemonade. But other than that, that's all I've been doing. And because we're in the throes of getting ready for Christmas when we craft and stuff. We talked about this last night, Jerry and I. We made a lot of stuff for the girls. The guys, they haven't had squat from us, so I'm trying to figure out what to do, and maybe the guys don't care. But we just feel like if we can do it now, we're going to do what we can, because the time is going to get here before we know it that we won't be able to. And it's coming sooner than later. There was a time that I could knit a pair of socks in a couple of days. And now my hands, of all the years of doing it, won't allow that. So, but I told myself I was done sewing for the girls, and Jerry last night was wrapping all the gifts and putting everything together, and now we gotta buy some more gift tags. But he's kept up, he's kept up on the presents of all the wrapping and stuff. And pretty soon we'll be asking everybody what they want for Christmas, to give us a gift list off from Amazon, because that's usually what we do. Then that means we have to start thinking about that. And of course, Jerry's already got me 4 gifts, and I have no idea what to get the man. He has to give ideas, but the first ideas go to the kids. That's the important one, because they know how difficult it is to buy for their dad. So I told him, I said, our friends, they just went up and they bought each other for Christmas. She got a new sewing machine and he got a new sewing machine. He sews leather products and everything. So, just a second. I had a message that I had to answer. So, I said, we could do something like that, just because she said that by them getting their own sewing machine, then they still had their stocking gifts, and then they still had a few gifts, but they had to be handmade. So, but there's nothing like that him and I want like that. I tease about upgrading my sewing machine until I see the prices of a new sewing machine, and the price of what my sewing machine is now compared to what it was in 2019, and it still runs very, very well. So but other than that, he got all those cookbook stands done. He made himself a little stand. I'll take a picture of it and insert it, for his sugar and creamer. He made it out of, I think, Purple Heart and walnut, I think. And it's to hold the jars, because we have vintage jars that you would have gotten in the restaurants and everything, and that's what he uses. My creamer used to be his creamer, but now I use a protein drink in a vanilla, so I can get more protein, and less artificial, a little less artificial, but so I was the one who would, he pulled it out in the morning to use it, and then I would take care of it into our coffee station, which is that big old baker's pot belly thing, and that holds the coffee and all the stuff like that. And then he made this because he had leftover wood, and he made that, and I made the remark about, okay, so you made a stand. He goes, well, yeah, if you have a coffee bar out here, you need to have your stuff setting out by it. Well, the Keurig is sitting on the counter instead of over on the coffee bar itself, because I've got everything decorated in it, and there's not really room for it, and he likes the way it looks right now. So we've left it on the counter, and so now they set out on that. So, but he did a nice job. And other than that, I just want you guys to know that, you know, this channel is still a weight loss channel for me, even though I don't talk about it like I used to. I used to be where I would sit there and show you what I eat in a day. I would show you my tracker, and that's all you saw was some little bit of glimpses in our lives and stuff. And then I got burned out, and because I was doing that 7 days a week, and I just got burned out, and then I kind of stepped away for a little bit. And then one of the friends had talked to me, I was telling her about it, and because I was really thinking about not coming back, it was just too much. And she had suggested just focus more on your crafts, and so I started doing that. I was only coming back, I can't remember, it seemed like it was twice a week or once a week, something like that. And then it went into 3 times a week, and then it went back into 5 times a week, and then I took the weekends off, just like I'm doing now. But in reality, it really is about my weight loss journey, and I just felt like nobody was really, you know, into the weight loss part of it. And it really shouldn't matter, because it was my weight loss journey. But it did, because I was looking for people to be doing the same thing that I'm doing, and needed that help, because when Weight Watchers shut down, you know, the majority of the workshops, and made it believe like you could get a online coach, but you can if you pay the high premium, and I don't want to pay $25 to whatever a month for a once a week meeting when I'm doing $10 a month. So that's why I don't talk about it too much, but it still is my weight loss journey, because now, after all these years of me, you know, gollylegging around getting this weight off, it has caused some potential serious health issues like diabetes, because that does run in my side of the family. And it made me start to put the brakes on things, and to sit there and go, if you don't want to be on meds and you want to change, you got to start changing, instead of telling yourself, oh, woe is me, and make some changes. And I'm not gonna lie, I was just kicking my feet on everything, because everything, when I decided to switch to the diabetic plan, everything had points except for the proteins, it seems like, and the sugars, and not the sugars, the fruits and stuff like that, and even the starchy vegetables. And then I started remembering back when people that were diabetic that were commenting saying, you know, that's an awful lot of fruit. And I would sit there and say, yeah, but it's 0 points. Well, if you were one of them, I'm sorry. You were right. So now I'm still, since the end of August, you know, I switched it to the diabetic plan, and I went up and down with it, and nights of tears and nights of frustration and all this and that, to where it finally hit me again to sit there and say, this is how it's got to be. It doesn't mean I can't have certain things. It's just that instead of always having maybe chips with a sandwich every day, I have no chips, and I don't have the bread, and I have more protein things, or a salad packed with more proteins, and cut the fruit back in my salads. I mean, like today, I had a half a cup of 2% cottage cheese and a half a cup of sliced peaches that we canned, and light syrup, but there's no syrup on it because I don't put the syrup on it. And then instead of the snack size bag of chips, or even a half serving of chips like I had yesterday, I had a cup of baby carrots with a tablespoon of my yogurt. So, and then I sat there and think, you know, I'm still hungry, but I'm not hungry. I think it's just in my head, I feel like, you know, if I can't have those chips, then I want to eat everything till I get those chips. And I just need to retrain this, because if I can go from, you know, whining to my hubby about I can only do maybe 7 minutes on the treadmill, as he told me a week or two ago, to 25 minutes now, and going from not even the speed of 1, I can't remember, it seems like it was more than 0.5 but less than 1, up to 1.3 5 days a week, then there's still hope. And now it's almost, I don't want to say like second nature, but it's getting better than that. So it's like, I know for my smoothies, if I want my smoothies, I got to bulk up more protein in it to offset the carbs in the fruits. And the fruits are only a half a cup of 2 fruits and a half a banana instead of a whole banana. And instead of a whole cup of milk, it's only half a cup of milk. And then it's Greek yogurt. And then I'm adding a protein powder to it. And then I've seen through some of the diabetic groups that I'm in, that's the one that I'm using that isn't spiking the majority of their blood sugars. And so, and then I'm adding a cup of baby spinach. So I'm getting some more fiber in. And so it's just the little tweaks that I do. Because sometimes I think we can sit back and we can say, you know, I just can't do it. I'm not giving it up, or this isn't fair, this isn't right. Well, it's all the years of doing whatever we've done to our bodies that are now saying, I'm tired. I've had enough. It's just like trying to not eat after supper. And that is the hardest thing at times, because I can tell you there comes a certain time of night, and I think Jerry will, if he was in here, he'd say the same thing. Anywhere from 9:30 to 10 o'clock at night, you just all of a sudden want to go, and it's like he always says, I'm going to go stare at the pantry for a minute. Because you're looking at what can you have to munch on, but you're trying to also not eat anything. And I think that is the biggest thing for me, is eating supper. And we're usually done by 6:30, 6:45. And I got a notification. I don't even know what it said. And then sitting there and waiting to see if you are still hungry or not. Because there was a time that, you know, he can make his chicken noodle soup, and it is 4 points for it makes 6 servings, and a serving is a ladle and a half, so like a cup and a half. And the points are the noodles basically, and it has mixed vegetables in it. It has chicken stock, and the chicken stock is what I have canned by just taking a whole chicken, throwing it in a Dutch oven on the stove with water, and throwing a bunch of veggies in it and let it cook for the majority of the day. And then you just shred all the chicken. Well, you strain it, take the chicken out and strain it, and then that's your stock. And I mean, I don't put any salt or anything in it. And then I've got a whole chicken that is flavored, that, you know, shreds right up, and we have enough for 2 or 3 meals. So, but I say that because there was a time that we both would sit there and eat that serving and have a glass of milk, and before you even let it settle enough to tell your brain you're full, you get up because it tastes so good, and you go get another half serving or so. And by the time you got done with that and you said you were done, and then half hour later, you are miserable because you ate too much. And that's one thing by not eating past supper time has helped me understand that feeling of, I'm not hungry. I'm bored. I mean, if my belly's rumbling, I drink more water or my Crystal Light pink lemonade just to see if it goes away. But 9 times out of 10, it's one of the two. I don't have enough water in me, or I'm not hungry. It's just that years of always getting up and snacking. Now, neither one of us are 100% good at this. There are times when I get up and I go and I grab a little bite of raisins, like a tablespoon, or I might open up the refrigerator and have a yogurt. It was hard for me to think of the word yogurt, but nine times out of 10, I'm not eating. But it's difficult, and that's kind of how the weight loss journey is. And for me, you know, I'm trusting and believing that all this exercise, all this walking I'm doing, all the added walking I'm doing, all the weighing and measuring, and bumping up more vegetables, not starchy ones, but, you know, more other vegetables, and that stuff is going to benefit me in the long run. And I just try to remember that the weight loss coming down is going to come down. I just have to be patient with myself and be tickled with anything that I get. But I think a lot of the pressure comes on me because knowing that I have to go in for blood work in December to see if my A1C has, you know, mellowed out and went down. Because I know my doctor will work with me, especially when I tell her what everything I've been doing, you know. But hopefully it's behaving itself and it's going down and not continuing to climb up. So, but other than that, I just said all that because I want you to know it's still a weight loss channel for me, because that is my #1 goal. Is I really want to get healthy. I want to get down to where, you know, I can enjoy life even more so. I do know that I'm averaging about 4,000 steps in a day. On my very active days, it's like 5,200. On my low active days, it's probably 2,500. And that's kind of how today's been, like 25. But I do have a walking pedometer hooked to my pants, so I know. And I do track it, because I am noticing I'm not as sore in my joints as I used to be. And I'd like to say I'm sleeping better, but we have 2 cats. But I feel like mentally my mind is better, and I feel good, and I have more energy. So if you stuck with me this long, I hope that you just put in the comments a hug emoji, because I think we all need that. And I'm very thankful and blessed for the ones that do comment, because I know not everybody comments, because I don't always comment when I watch everybody either, because it means I've got to pull out my phone after watching it on the big screen. And that's just the lazy part of me, because I do comment every once in a while. But we're all trying, and that's all we can do. And you know, if it was easy, we wouldn't have to worry about it. So, but anyways, thanks again, my friends. Thanks for listening if you've hung on. And just know that you might see more talk, or hear more talk on the weight loss journey part of it, especially if it helps somebody else. But you also continue to see the crafts and stuff. So, but for right now, I still plan on doing what I'm doing and coming on here Monday through Friday, taking the weekend off, and not guaranteeing anything else. So thanks again, my friends, for hanging out with me and listening to me. And I hope that your day is a good one, and the rest of your week is a better one. And till I can see you again, hopefully on Thursday.